What are good reasons to live? Dying sucks. Death seems okay, but it's the stuff before that I'd rather not deal with just yet. Outlive your enemies. Anything. At one point I was living for the Word Girl series. My life's goal was to watch all of the episodes. That was it. The one thing keeping me alive. A kid's show that I should have grown out of years ago. There is never a bad reason to live, never a stupid one. Any reason to live is a good one, especially if it's all you can think of at the moment. Honestly, I just want to ride it out and see what happens. As humans are so entertaining. 1 minute we're blowing each other up. The next we have pet rocks or something. Floating in a large body of water with no distractions. Also, did you know that if you float on your back in a hot tub with all the jets on that you'll spin in a lazy little circle? I did not know that, and it's pretty fun. It's also quite relaxing. If you're careful you can do it while reading a book. If you haven't had a chance to try that yet, you should hang on at least until you do. It's pretty rad. So you can say to the person mugging you and threatening to kill you, what makes you think I have money, or a will to live? I was mugged once and the only thing I had in my pocket was a book. They didn't even think about taking it. Which is good for me but also kinda insulting. Well, actually I was mugged twice. But the second was a kid who didn't have a gun, just his hand in his pocket, and we hit him upside the head with a jar of olives. If you quit now you won't get to play the futuristic video games we'll actually have the technology to make 99% immersive. Music is pretty neat. You can literally just make garlic bread anytime you want. Because if you die, it can't get better. Right now, I'm a shaking, emotional mess because I hit rock bottom last night. I am still here because I know from experience that as long as I don't give up, my life has the chance to get better. Hopefully it will, but the only way I'll see is by sticking around. If you die, Mom will be upset. This is true. My son took himself out of this world and it'll never be the same. Life is less without him. Still so painful after 5 years. God, I miss that boy. I had a couple major realizations. Self-talk. I was intensely, harshly critical of myself. One day I realized that I would never talk to another person like that. So why should I talk to myself that way? I made the decision to treat myself as though I was a friend who had the same issues. I would treat myself kindly with compassion, and allow myself to be imperfect, even very imperfect. This is very important. I decided to make a point of noticing what I did right, well, and good in the same way I'd focused exclusively on what I did wrong before. It's important, especially for someone in or coming out of depression, to see and admit to themselves that yes, they do things right. 2. It doesn't matter how tiny or inconsequential the action is. Did you brush your teeth today? Nice. You brushed your teeth today. Fair warning, this change in behavior will likely feel fake as hell at first, and will continue feeling fake as hell for a long time. It's normal for a behavior pattern you aren't in the habit of to feel fake, but that doesn't mean it is fake. It's just an unfamiliar pattern. As the pattern becomes familiar, the feeling of fakeness will fade. The other thing was that I realized when you are depressed, you naturally tend to focus on what's bad and wrong in life. You don't even notice the good stuff, even though it's still there. If you go long enough noticing only bad things while being oblivious to the good, it can legitimately get to a point where it really, genuinely feels to you like only bad things exist for you and that good stuff doesn't even exist at all. Therefore, I made a deliberate point of noticing what's right and good in life. There's a roof over my head tonight and I have a warm, dry, comfortable bed to sleep in. I have my health. I can have pretty much anything I want for dinner. I am incredibly lucky to live in that incredibly tiny fraction of all of human history that the internet exists. It's a lovely day out today. I lost a couple more pounds. I really do have exceptionally awesome landlords. I was really kind to that person. I got the dishes done today, etc. Fair warning, this is another thing that's going to feel fake as hell for a long time until you get into the habit of it. Expect it. It's normal and fine. I pushed through the fake feeling and it made a life-changing difference for me that I did. One more thing. Let it be genuinely okay for yourself to make mistakes. Old habits and thought patterns can have a lot of inertia to them. Depressed people are still people, and people are just human beings, which means they will make mistakes. If you can let it be genuinely okay to be a human being who makes mistakes just like anyone else does, don't beat up on yourself for making them. Just shrug, let it roll off your back, and carry on. You will have a much easier time of all of this on those days you find old habits creeping back again. The smell of a fresh rain, the smell of flowers, being able to cuddle your pet, the taste of your favorite food, being able to finish out your favorite TV shows. Pasta. We're all lights in the darkness for one another. When one light goes out, it makes it that much more dark for the rest of us. The human eye can see a single candle from 4 miles away. You never know when your light is the only light someone can see. If you have pets, they'll never understand why you left. Dead tongues taste no pineapple juice. Still taste my nut juice though. Because the 22 of February 2022 is the 22nd of February 22 and it is also a Tuesday, meaning we can call it Twasday. Cyberpunk. Simple, I'm not done here, and I guess I'm not allowed to die until I am. Drove my car off a forest ravine at 95 miles per hour, went right through the trees for about 50 feet, then landed on the road on the other side of the S-bend. Car had a small dent in the front bumper, and half-inch chip missing both from the winding road sign I took out right before the ravine, but not a scratch otherwise. I went back to look. There was no gap between the trees big enough for a car. Years later, I tried with shotgun, pulled the trigger, nothing happened, sat there for like 10 seconds, then took the barrel away from under my chin, and the exact second it was clear, it went off, jumping out of my hands and missing me by a few degrees. So yeah, I don't know what I believe in, but if there is a God, I guess he wants me to stay on Earth for a while longer, presumably because I'm supposed to help someone. Figure I'll just help as many people as I can until I hit my quota or whatever and eventually get to go. I don't have reasons to live, I only have reasons to not die. Despite how similar those sound, they are different, and most people who are content with their lives won't be able to make the distinction. To see if the Area 51 raid actually happens. You've been dead for eternity before you were born, let that sink in, an infinite amount of time where you did not exist, and for a universal split second you're alive, after which you will stop existing for an infinite amount of time. In the grand scheme of things, being alive is literally the least likely thing that could have happened, and yet here you are. To live to the day April 20th 69 happens. Knowing that you are somehow and some way a part of someone's day and routine, and if you disappeared their life would be missing something, that you never know what'll happen tomorrow, and it just might be something good. If you have a pet, no one could possibly love and bond with them like you could, and that living would spite everyone that wanted you not to. I like to think I'm etching myself into the paths of every atom I touch. Even after the solar system is dust, there will be motes directly or indirectly affected by the fact I lived a life at some point. These things will have their trajectories forever marked by my existence. Even if they are small and quiet particles or wakes of heat, perhaps my actions will inspire others and the far-off entropies will have a little more ripple as a result. Sunshine and wind. Sometimes in the deepest pits of my depression and when I'm ready to end it, I'll go for a walk and the sun is just so damn beautiful and warm, that I stay alive just so I can keep seeing it. I have ADHD, autism, and I have constant anxiety and intermittent depression. I have experienced being suicidal often in my life, but I don't think I'm in danger of dying. Good reasons for me not to die. My husband, he is a terrific emotional support and all-around great human, and I just wanna be around him. He likes me a lot and I wouldn't ever wanna hurt him by just up and dying for no reason, let alone doing it on purpose. Even at my most depressed, I would literally never imagine doing that to him. The concept of his pain is so enormously painful to think of that it's like an object too hot for me to touch. No, my coworkers, who struggle with mental health as well. My industry took it hard when Anthony Bourdain killed himself. My friends, who struggle with mental health as well, people on the internet that I provide emotional support for, because if I kill myself, I can't be the voice of reason and understanding for everyone else that feels this way. Every person that kills themselves is eliminating an opportunity to increase understanding of mental illness and human neurodiversity. Because other people with ADHD and autism need people to speak up for them, we are collectively really shitty at articulating. Because other people with ADHD and autism that don't know they even are, and that it's why they're suicidal in the first goddamn place. Hey, hi, I see you, because I'm not dying without fixing this crap, and that is a goddamn threat. Myself. It sounds completely self-centered, I know, but I spent almost my whole life sticking around because other people needed me, and don't get me wrong, that's also a very valid reason, but that's a lot of responsibility on them. After my suicide attempt almost 10 years ago, I swore I'd never put my mum through that again. She was my whole world. She needed me and I needed her, and when she got sick, we needed each other more than ever. In her last few months, me and my sister were her carers, so she was completely dependent on us. My world stopped. I dropped out of college. I barely socialized. I had no life outside of looking after my terminally ill mother. Now if I had the chance, I'd do it the exact same way all over again. I don't regret it. I pushed it all on my sister. We only had each other, and when things got tough I told myself I couldn't leave her and she needed me. Again, all very valid and true, but I was miserable. Living felt like a chore, a responsibility I'd been forced into. So I got my ass into gear, went to therapy, started going to the gym, did some online courses, got into a relationship with a wonderful person. Soon I'm hoping to quit my job because I can't stand it, but I need the security of a new one first. In September I'm finally going back to college and doing my last year. Gonna get that degree. I'm living for myself now because I deserve to. There's so many places I want to go, and so much stuff I want to do. Sure, one day I plan on having kids and then they will become my world and my number one. But right now I'm 24, and it's time for me to be a little bit selfish. All the good shows and good games that you are going to miss. Cannot die before playing all of the FF7 remake games. Spite. As Superman said, all I know is that we have to try. That's what life is. We try. We push back against the darkness. Just a little. Nearly every problem someone has is a temporary problem. Death is a very permanent solution to a series of temporary problems. I like to gather stories. Even the worst things that happen to me create stories and experience. I've been homeless, in jail, seen a lot of death, etc. I've been able to help others because of that. So even when I'm not feeling good about my life, I know that my worst moments have allowed me to help others through theirs. Being comfortable doesn't create stories. This is only a recent realization for me, 33 years old. When I'm not happy with my life, I try to do something unfamiliar. I've recently discovered that I love the outdoors. All my life I've been the stay-at-home kind of person, perfectly happy to just play some video games or watch a movie. I started getting into a funk that I didn't know how to get out of, but I continued to do the same thing every day, working 7 days a week. Play video games 2 hours a day, sleep and repeat. I took some time off work to try and get out of the gloomy feeling that I had, but I was still doing the same thing on vacation minus the work, and it wasn't helping. So work wasn't the problem. Decided with my last few days of vacation to get a hotel room about an hour outside of a national park 4 hours from home. I cancelled the reservation because it was easier to just say never mind. I just want to relax. The next day I woke up and said, it. Let's just go. Made the hotel reservation again. The trip ended up changing my entire perspective. I want to do nothing but hike now. I want to get in better shape so I can do longer hikes. I want to buy a truck. I'm spending my free time looking for new places to explore. I'm looking into camping. Seeing the stars in the wilderness has me wanting to get a telescope and looking into astrophotography. All this new stuff. Because for once I decided to listen to the little voice in my head telling me to try something new. I live for new experiences. The more new experiences that I have, the more I want to live, not just exist, but to do stuff. No matter how long I've done one thing, a new hobby or passion is just around the corner. You never know until you put yourself out of your comfort zone. I spent years, decades doing what I thought made me happy, but I was never happy. A more enjoyable life was one last-minute decision away for me. One moment of following through with an idea that I had. I could have easily just slept in again instead of changing my mind to take the trip. If the trip ended up sucking, would that have really been worse than another year of continuing the same routine? It would be a story regardless. Even if I don't want to tell a story, seeking a story usually leads me somewhere interesting. It doesn't have to be big life changes or trips. Always watch horror movies. Try some comedies. Looking at a giant library of games but feel you have nothing to play? You probably don't really want to play a game. Grab a book. Take a walk. Trying something different is what keeps life interesting enough to continue for me. Easy and comfortable isn't fun or interesting.